Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Good, good. Having a great day so far? Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing day. I've been at, I don't know, I think this is like my 14th Connect or 13th Connect, and every year I feel like it gets better and better, and so exciting to be here. I know it's always tough to be here towards the end of the day when it's almost cocktail time. But we do have a really exciting panel today. I'm really excited to have 4 great people up here, each with really different backgrounds, and I love the title of this conversation. It's called Beyond the Next Shiny Object. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. There's a little bit of shiny object syndrome going on in the industry, right? Would you agree? Where, and I know I'm guilty of that, of the newest app and the newest site, and I got to try that out. And so we're going to have a really good conversation today about how do you make decisions about products? And I won't say vendors, we're going to say partners. How do you make decisions about partners that you bring into your business? And we're really going to kind of get into the nitty gritty of what each of you do in terms of what works and what doesn't work, how you make those decisions. And then we're going to open it up at the end for hopefully a good 10 minutes or so of Q&A. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Katie Lance. I'm the CEO and owner of Katie Lance Consulting. I was formerly with Inman News for a number of years, and I currently run a consulting firm helping companies figure out social media. And I deal a lot with companies who are worried about the next shiny object, so it's really appropriate to be here today. So I want to just kind of go down the line here. We've got, like I said, a great panel, and I would love for each of you just to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, what company you're with, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Lisa Archer. I am the COO, Chief Opportunity Officer with the Live Love Realty team, hubbed out of Charlotte, North Carolina with Keller Williams, opening our newest hub in the next couple of days in the Triad, North Carolina, Raleigh. We've already got a team in Pinehurst, and we're expanding.
Awesome.
Oh, and I'm one half of the Geeky Girls.
My name is Brian Pesson. I'm the marketing manager at Contactually. You can visit us in the next room over after our panel.
Hi, I am Jason Pantana, and I'm with Coldwell Banker Real Estate. I'm their Director of Agent Learning Engagement, and I am thrilled to be here with you guys.
My name is Steven Shivers. I work for RE/MAX of New Jersey as their Regional Technology Director. We have about 160 offices in the state of New Jersey and about 2,700 agents, and we support them with our technology services.
Awesome. Well, welcome, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the first things that we talked about, we wanted to kind of share just right out of the gate, is I asked each of our panelists to come prepared and to think of 2 of their tried and true, their sort of must-have, no matter what. They've got to run their business with these top 2 technologies. And so we'd love to, again, go down the line. Sorry, Lisa's in the hot seat. She gets to go first. Maybe we'll do one hot,
We'll do one hot.
one, tried and true, and then we'll come back. So listen to some of the different things that we're talking about, and then obviously at the end, if you've got questions, I know this will plant some seeds for a lot of you. So tried and true.
Tried and true. Well, for the last 3 years, we have been using Dotloop like crazy. We, this year, have written over 1,500 offers, and every single one of them has been written in Dotloop, uploaded in Dotloop. We have the...
Did you say 1,500?
1,500 this year.
It's a big number.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've written 1,500 offers, and every single one of them, like I said, has been written in Dotloop, and we use the entire system from start to finish, and we could not run our business without it.
So one of the products that I'm most excited about that I started working with lately is a tool called BombBomb. It's a complete video email marketing service. It lets you really easily distribute really engaging personal videos to the people in your network. And it's really aptly timed because the use of video online and both mobile has risen like 30% over the course of the past year. And it's one of those things now that agents know is a tried and true system that a lot of people haven't really started to pick up yet. So using tools like BombBomb and even just YouTube, just build your YouTube channel. Make sure you're taking advantage of these mobile video solutions in order to get your face out there, to get your properties out there, to get your testimonials out there. People love receiving video, and it's a really great place to start.
And Brian, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how many of you use BombBomb for email marketing? So when you do video, do you do one-to-one video? Because in BombBomb, there's the opportunity to send like one-to-one video messages, or do you do one-to-many, where you're kind of sending like a weekly?
So I do both. With people that I'm really close with, it's really fun for me to just hop on the line. You know, we all have cameras either on our phones or on our computers or even cheap camcorders. So it's really easy for me to just fire up a quick video and say, hey, how are you going? Just wanted to check in, see what's going on in your life, you know, whether it's something professional or not. But then, you know, from a real estate perspective, you could go ahead and, you know, maybe walk through an open house and give them a guided tour, or, you know, share a customer testimonial to try to pique interest in your own business. So there's so many different applicable uses for it, but my personal favorite is just using it to engage one-on-one.
That's awesome. And so the question I always get, just to touch on this one last thing, is people always say, well, I don't know, it's that casual, like, you know, video with the phone, or the, you know, you're on your computer, or is that well received? Does that seem weird, or?
I mean,
what's
I don't
your
think
feedback
so.
about that?
I'm a definite Gen Yer, so we're used to all these things. I mean, if you flip over your name bag or your name tag, at least half of them have something about an Inman Connect selfie. Like,
right.
You know, if you see that and you can understand that and you can see the humor in it, then I see no problem in just, you know, shooting a really casual video. And I think that's going to become more and more the norm, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's a lot more personal and it's a lot easier to just open up your computer, send that quick video than it would be to, you know, type out some boring email or something like that.
Awesome. Jason, how about you?
So in terms of tried and true technologies, and I'll give you a little context, up until last year I was a sales agent in Nashville, so I have some experience in working with this tool, and it's one that many of us have probably been familiar with or are already using, and it has to do with cloud syndication services. And to me, it's the staple. It's Dropbox. And how many of you are using Dropbox already? A lot of you guys? I figure most everybody in the room already knows about Dropbox, but the question is tried and true and proven. And by all means, I can't really think of many technologies that have earned their keep like Dropbox for me. And for those who maybe aren't familiar with it, what I often compare it to is it's essentially your My Documents for your PC, where all your files, whatever you might think of, PDFs, documents, Word docs, videos, whatever you might think of or be working with, can be stored in this centralized folder on your PC, your Mac, wherever. But it can also then syndicate those files within your Dropbox to your smartphone, to your tablet, so on and so forth. And so the experience I had with it, where it really showed its value to me, was when I was preparing to meet a prospective client for lunch. The title company had incidentally lost a termite letter that we needed to close the contract. They called me very frantically and said, Jason, whatever you're doing, drop it, rush over to us, bring us your copy of the termite letter. The wire shuts off for the funds of this loan in an hour. We need you here now so we can wire the funds to close the deal. And I said, don't worry about it, relax, it's already in your inbox. On my iPhone, I was able to pull up my files that were syndicated or synced between all my devices, simply share the document, and the deal was, for lack of a better word, saved. It went on without affecting my lunch plans, so to speak. So Dropbox, it's a staple.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. How many of you use Dropbox? Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you were to ask this question a year ago, it would be a lot less hands. I feel like, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like there's a lot more, agents feel a lot more comfortable with the cloud. I think for a while there was a lot of concerns about what was happening with the cloud. And you can't hear me? There we go. Better? Okay. Thank you. Okay. For these guys right here? Okay. You got it. I love it. Vocal. Tell me what you want. All right. Dropbox. So, okay. So if you guys could be louder.
Oh, yeah.
We'll project. Okay. So what I was saying is, I feel like if we'd asked the question a year or so ago about Dropbox and cloud storage, there was a lot of fears, a lot of concerns, a lot of people who didn't quite understand how it works. But I think we've all been in that situation where we had something important on our phone or something important on our computer, and it crashes, right? And that document was there, or like in your situation, you needed to, get it to somebody right away. So having that cloud storage is huge. Are you finding that there's still that kind of fear or trepidation about using the cloud or Dropbox or Google Drive or anything like that?
Yeah, I talk about Dropbox pretty regularly, and I do hear the question of security, and I'm not going to get up here and say that I understand through and through what the security features are of Dropbox. What I can say is that for myself, I don't feel like I ever lost a file or was personally at risk, that being the disclaimer there personally, but
Right.
I was happy with it.
Yeah.
It did good work for me. It kept my files in sync. I had the ability to collaborate and share things that you already said, so yeah, I was happy.
Awesome. Cool. And last but not least,
Oh, yeah. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was a CRM. How many people use a CRM daily to keep in contact with their, okay, very good. I'm actually surprised when I talk to agents how many people do not have a CRM in place, how many people are not keeping in contact, building relationships through a CRM. Some people I talk to, they'll use their Outlook address book, they'll use an Excel spreadsheet. Those things I personally don't think are too acceptable. I mean, you look at like some of the features of the CRMs out there right now, and if you don't know, CRMs are contact relationship management systems. They help you keep in contact daily with your contacts, or at least a decent CRM will help you do that on a daily basis. The one that I wanted to talk about specifically is Follow Up Boss. If you're a if you're a RE/MAX agent, you have a system like LeadStreet. But if you're not a RE/MAX agent, I would check out Follow Up Boss. You can look at it at followupboss.com. And what it does is it allows you to send out drip email campaigns through a system like MailChimp. When you receive a lead, it will automatically call you with the information, and it will say, do you want to reach out to this person right now? Press 1, and we will put you in touch with that person. When you have people that are looking for information on listing right away, and they're reaching out to 20 different agents all at once, they're going to typically go with the agent that they hear from first. So to have a feature like this instant dial function, to have it call you at your cell phone, and you can instantly dial back to them, more than likely you're going to be the first person to get back to them. So that's a great feature. And again, drip email campaigns are huge too. And then one of the reasons that I think CRMs are so important are because agents don't understand that they don't a lot of times need more leads. They just need to keep in contact with the leads they already have. Far too often I have agents reach out to me and they say, you know what, I need more leads, how can I buy more leads, how can I get more leads? And I say to them, well, when was the last time you reached out to these people right here? Oh, well, you know, I don't need to talk to them, I reached out to them once and they didn't come back to me. No, you need to keep in contact with these people, and a CRM is definitely a staple nowadays, and it doesn't matter really what you go with. I mean, there's some major ones out there, but I recommend looking into Follow Up Boss.
Great. So Follow Up Boss.
It's Follow Up Boss. It's FOLLOWUP Boss, BOSS.
Yeah, it might be the acoustics. I don't know if there's anything our awesome sound guys can do in the back, but yeah, maybe slide it up a little bit.
Can we turn that speaker toward that side?
Yeah, possibly.
feedback,
Can
without
we
feeding
turn
back?
this speaker back here? This one, you think? There's like a weird echo that's happening. Can you guys in the back maybe
To the rescue.
come up and help? Or Nate, our awesome ambassador.
Which one? Where do you want to? Yeah.
I think if it goes away from us, possibly. Yeah. How are you guys over here? Can you hear us okay? See? Everyone just move over here. Just
Come
kidding.
sit in there last.
All right, we will try to speak up as much as possible. We apologize. I know we've got a little bit of room constraints. So, awesome. So we've got Dotloop, we've got BombBomb, Dropbox, and Follow Up Boss, a CRM. And what I love about that is each of you touched on a different piece of the business, very important piece of the business. And I'll just touch on what you said about CRM. I think that's hugely important. I know for myself and going out on my own with my own consulting firm, that was hugely important. And so many of the agents and brokers that I talk to, you know, it's one of those things where I think you don't realize you need it until you have it and go, what was I thinking? I was doing Post-it notes and spreadsheets and, you know, trying to keep track of it. And I hope you all got that point that you said at the end about agents not necessarily needing more leads, although more leads are always great. It's keeping in touch with the leads that you already have or the people that you already have and cultivating those relationships. So I thought that was a great point. I'd love to kind of come back down the line and give one more tried and true technology, you know, again, whether it's email marketing or CRM or transaction management, what's kind of your must-have. So we'll start back down this way and
Sure,
come back down.
I'll go with you. The next thing that I recommend is Google. Google as a whole. I mean, you probably do Google searches every day, but how many people have Google accounts that they use for basically everything? Okay, if you're not using a Google account, it's great for a lot of things. First of all, I recommend Gmail. Can you guys hear me okay if I'm talking? Okay, perfect. Far too many agents that I talk to are still using AOL. If you're still using AOL, it's the 21st century and it's time to move on. I recommend checking out Gmail, because what you can do is you can actually have your AOL or any other mail service email sent to Gmail, and you can respond from Gmail. So you never have to sign into AOL again. You can just have that email sent to Gmail, and you can respond right from Gmail and kind of wean yourself off of that ancient email system. Once you have a Google account, it's good for a lot more than just Gmail. Say you're perfectly fine with the email system that you have. Once you have a Google account, it opens you up to things like Google Drive, where if you're not using Google Drive, it's really a free version of Microsoft Office. So maybe you're buying Microsoft Office every year. Well, you don't really need to do that. There's a free version of Microsoft Office in the cloud called Google Drive. You can create spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations. Maybe you want to create a listing presentation, and when you go for the appointment, you just bring up your Google Drive app and you flip through the listing presentation. It's in the cloud, so other people in your team can use it and update it too. It also allows you to use Google Analytics, which I won't get into, but you can install on your website and really get an idea of who's using your website. It'll give you the demographic information for your visitors. It'll tell you how many people are visiting your website, where from the state you're in they're visiting, and things like that. I think Google accounts are just invaluable nowadays. Google gives you way too many free products at this point to just not have a Google account. And maybe you think, hey, I don't have a Google account. If you have an Android device, if you have a tablet or an Android phone, then more than likely you have a Google account already that you're just not using to its full potential. But I do recommend Google for all of the products they offer for free at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of confusion about that, about how do I get a Google email address if I have I have Katie@katielance.com. Well, that's a Google account. How does that work? And so I always say the easiest thing is go to Google and Google it, right? And put in Google business accounts. And it literally walks you through it. It's a very simple process. And I know from talking to so many agents over the years that it's one of the best decisions that they've made. Whether they had an AOL address or maybe they had an old email. I mean, we're all guilty of it. We have like 6 emails. I know I have so many different emails. And just to get them all, in one place, and then like you said, it opens up the opportunity. The other thing I'll touch on with Google Mail is that it gives you the opportunity to use a lot of their plugins. There's some great plugins that some of you might touch on. If you don't, I'll bring them up in a minute, that are part of Google to really help manage your email flow. So that was a great tip. I appreciate that. Next.
Cool, I'm up.
Yes.
So again, speaking about tried and true technologies that I found real success with, how many of you have ever heard of Yelp? Anybody? Takers? Yelp? So how many of you all, when you're in New York City and you're looking for a great slice of pizza, how many of you consult Yelp for finding a great slice of pizza? Or how many of you just kind of scavenger around the city and find pizza that's on every corner? That's what we did. We had good success. But Yelp is a really powerful tool for agents. So I actually got a lot of my business as an agent from people who would call me. They would find me on Yelp. And I might ask, how did you find me on Yelp? Did they go to the Yelp website, yelp.com, to do that? And more often than not, they actually found me by asking Siri. So if you ever ask Siri a question, find me nearby pizza, you might ask Siri. Those results are coming from Yelp. That's Y-E-L-P. And so it's very easy to go in and create a Yelp profile for your business, for yourself, and people can actually go in and review you. And so that each time I had success with a client, they might have liked the services that were offered or a particular facet of working with me, they could talk about that. They could share their experience. That experience would then go on to inform the next person I might work with. And so what I found was that I was working with quite a large number of relocation clients, folks who didn't know anybody in the area that I was serving. And they were looking for comfort, they were looking for authenticity, for honesty, to make sure that they were choosing to work with somebody who was going to be reliable to help them through that transition as they were moving into a new area. And so Yelp, because they offered the review features where past clients had reviewed my business, had talked about what they liked, what they didn't like, because Yelp had given me a space to write about what made me different, what made me unique, it was a really happy medley there, so to speak. And Yelp is also very friendly in terms of being able to be found in Google searches as well. So you might also search for things online, any business. It could be a flower shop, it could be a real estate agent. Yelp has different listings of businesses of all kinds, but you're going to find that that plays very nicely with Google. So Yelp for business, and it's not the same thing as having a personal account, whereby with a personal account, I might sign on to Yelp and I might go review that pizza shop that I talked about. I might then be the reviewer, but I'm speaking here right now about Yelp for business, where I was the business capable of then being reviewed, so to speak. So Yelp.
And I think it's great that you brought up Yelp. because, I think a lot of people have sort of a love-hate relationship with Yelp. Whenever Yelp comes up, there's always people who love it, people who hate it. But I think one thing that's really important is that you claim your business. You claim your business on Yelp. You set up your profile. Whether or not you plan to be super active on Yelp or not, it's an important piece of it. That way you can obviously actively receive recommendations. There's certainly people out there that are called Yelpers, right? Some of you might be. Any Yelpers out here? There might be some who love Yelp, and that's how you find your business, and that's how you, interact with people. Everyone has their network that they prefer, and for a lot of people, it is Yelp. So I think that's an important thing to think about. Brian, how about you?
So I'm going to go back and revisit CRMs for a little bit, and I'm going to highly recommend Contactually to all of you. I am going to tell you definitively that if you are an agent and you are looking to grow your business and you are dependent upon referrals and repeat business in order to generate income, you have to have a CRM in place to do that. We all have really great intentions of building really strong relationships with the people that matter, but at the end of the day, we have so much going on. There's so many things right in front of our faces that all those people in the peripheral tend to fall off of our radars, and with them fall business opportunities, repeat business and referrals. And that's where something like Contactually comes in. Contactually is going to do so much automation for you so that you're really going to be able to focus your time on what matters to your business. So rather than adding new contacts to your database by hand, rather than making a note of the last interaction and what you spoke about, Contactually is going to do all of that for you. We're going to take all of your contacts from email, social media, and phone, bring them into one central database, clean it up, and update those records automatically for you, and then automatically track all of those communications so that you and the platform know exactly when you last spoke to those people. Then what you'll then do is segment your contact database into different categories, which we call buckets. And that's how you prioritize your relationships. That's how you're telling us which of your relationships are important to you and which we should be paying attention to. So you'll set up rules like follow up with my hot leads every 7 days, follow up with my past home buyers every 90 days. And you can adjust it for a frequency that makes sense for you and your business. But when you go beyond that time threshold without reaching out to one of these important contacts, ultimately the ones that are going to affect your business success, we're going to flag it, tell you, hey, you need to follow up with this person so that you're staying top of mind and relevant, and so that this person is going to think of you first when they or someone else that they know needs your services. And then another big piece of the puzzle is just making it personal. We really strive to build strong one-on-one relationships. That's why we're cherry picking specific individuals that you need to follow up with that day and try to give you ideas as to what you can say in your follow-up efforts to make them really genuine, to make them really personal. Are you referencing their interests? Are you sharing content that they're going to find valuable? Are you making introductions to people who could help them advance their career or even just strike up a friendship? All of these are really genuine and meaningful ways to build relationships, and it's just so much easier and so much more systematic to do that when you have a CRM in place.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's interesting you bring up Contactually, and obviously there's a lot of great CRMs that are in the real estate world. We've all probably tried a few different ones, some maybe more successfully than others. But I think it's really interesting. I've known the guys at Contactually for some time now, and being a kind of social media person, I find that the social aspect of it is really interesting because nowadays our conversations aren't just on the phone. They're not just through email. They're not just meeting someone for coffee. A lot of times they're a Facebook private message or a Twitter message or some sort of interaction that happens on social, and that still counts, right, as an interaction, and that's how we keep in touch with people. So, and you guys are exhibiting here today. You have a kiosk.
Yeah, so we're in Startup Alley in the room next door on the far wall, table 24, and I'll be there after the panel if any of you want to come and say hi.
Awesome. Cool. Lisa, how about you?
Okay, so we've beta tested everything. We use Dropbox every day. We use Google all day, every day. We use Contactually. We have...
nodding the whole time.
Yeah, I just keep raising my hand because we use it all. But the one thing that... So I won't bore you and go back through what they've already said. We, on our team, because there's about to be 31 of us, we use Facebook groups like crazy. So we have a managing partner Facebook group. So like me and Lori and Denise can have discussions at the highest level possible within the team without, not necessarily a text works all the time. And especially when Lori and I start texting and poor Denise has to try to keep up, it's just not fair. We have... messages do something called a high five every day, like what happened on the team today that was really good. So we do a high five award in the group every night. We do something motivating in the morning. Like this morning I posted, there's no I in team. So we have groups for everything. We have a group for our listing team. We have a group for our buyer team. We have a group for, we have a lead buyer's agent who has 3 newer buyer agents that she's coaching. They have their own group. So everybody inside of our team has I'm at least 15 of them. We have a group for the triad guys and the guys in Charlotte and just everything. We've got a marketing group. So we use Facebook groups all day long.
And for those of you who don't know Lisa, so Lisa, how many people are on your team? Just to give some context.
Right this second, 24, there will be 31, but we already have the new guys in the group.
Okay, so
31.
31. Okay, and so you think you have about 15 or so groups just
Probably, is
around
that
there?
about right? Yeah.
And they're secret groups or private groups,
They
I'm
are all
assuming?
secret groups.
Okay, secret. So would you say that having some of those small groups is, like you said, you can text, you can call, but it seems like there's so much synergy that can happen.
Well, and it's instant. They get an immediate notification, and that way I don't have to send 31 text messages or an email to 31 people, because don't get me wrong, there's some people on my team who does not understand how to send a reply back to 1. It's a reply to 31
Reply all.
every
Right.
single time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and I would say too, just to touch on Facebook groups, private Facebook groups. I think that's an interesting point you bring up, just from a business perspective. Sometimes we think of Facebook groups as the big groups that are on Facebook, right? Like the tech support group or all these amazing groups that we go to ask questions and interact. But from a business perspective, would you say that they're helpful in like building camaraderie, just sort of building that team aspect?
So, we've got some contests going on, because next month we're going to go to Phoenix, and we've had a contest on if we hit a certain number of transactions by the end of the year, the team who won gets to go, and one of the team gets to go now because we hit 301. Our goal was 300. But the point, every single one of them has, the one group has 31 people. Everyone else has much less than that.
Gotcha.
So that, they can have their own contests and discussions and, what happened on a listing appointment today. Not everyone on the team needs to know that. Everybody has their own one thing on our team, and the listing agents don't need to know that so-and-so didn't go to a house with a buyer. There's just certain
Right.
things they don't need to know.
Right. Gotcha. Awesome. So before we open it up to Q&A, I wanted to ask them, what is their top one sexy, new, kind of checking it out? It's in beta. We're not really sure if we like it, but we're going to try it out. What's their thing that they're trying out for 2014? So why don't we start down at the end?
I guess the thing that I'm most excited about for 2014 is, have any of you seen Floored? They have a booth over here. If you haven't seen it yet, it's floored.com. What it is 3D models of real estate listings. Now, if a client wanted to see the listing, maybe they live across the country and they want to check out the listing, they can actually go in the browser and walk through the listing and see it before they travel across the country to visit it. Something like that completely blows virtual tours out of the water. Rather than having a picture slideshow to stock music, you can actually walk through and look at a listing. Personally, I think that's really exciting. And I know some people would say, well, how feasible is that for your typical residential listing that I'm trying to push? Well, I don't know if anybody saw it, but there's something called the Stock Sensor. They premiered it at the CES convention recently, the Consumer Electronics Show, where you actually have a sensor that you can attach to your iPad, and I think it was only about $300. You stand in the middle of the room and you pan around the room, and it actually creates a 3D model of the room that you're in. Now, if anybody's ever used something like Magic Plan, if you haven't used Magic Plan, it's a floor plan app where you can actually, if you want a floor plan for your house, you stand there and you take a quick floor plan of the room. Now, imagine if you could do something that easily and create a 3D model of the home that you want people to be able to walk through. I would love to be able to see something like that attached to a listing detail page instead of coming to the page, looking at the pictures and saying, okay, now I'm going to look at a slideshow of the pictures. You look at the pictures and say, okay, now I want to walk around the space and really get a sense of it before I travel and visit it. I think that'd be huge. I think it'll start off early on with luxury listings. high-end commercial apartment complexes and things like that. But over time, I think that this is going to be something that you see pretty often. And then on top of that, there's a new piece of virtual reality technology. Actually, if you go to the Floored booth, you can see it. It's not something that they've made, but it's these goggles that actually have like a gyroscope in it. So when you look around a room, it actually knows that you're looking around, and you can look around a room, and if you walk, it knows you're walking, and you can walk through a room. Stuff like that is going to be commonplace with consumers. It might sound like science fiction to you right now, but one day when something like that is in everybody's home, then you're going to want to make sure that your listings appear in 3D, and when people look at your website, they can check out your apartment complex and some of the units on your website. So if you haven't checked them out, they're called Floored. They're over here in the showroom, but then there's also things like the stock sensor that you can check out. And yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to see what happens with the technology.
That's awesome. And since the name of this whole panel is Beyond the Next Shiny Object, you know, you named a couple cool shiny objects. I mean, how do you personally sort of make that decision of, is this just a cool new thing I should try out? Is it going to distract me from my business? Or is this worth looking into? Because I think a lot of us feel that way. There's so many products and services, and I know I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but what are your thoughts about that?
I think you think of it like at one point people were talking about putting listings on the internet, and was it really something that had to be done? How many people were on the internet looking for listings? And over time it just became so common that obviously you put your listings on the internet. People might ask you, okay, why should I create a virtual tour? I mean, it's pretty standard at this point to create a virtual tour. I mean, there's plenty of products out here that try to grab your attention, but I feel like when the consumer comes to expect to be able to walk through a space and get a sense of a home or any other listing before they purchase it, then you want to make sure that your listing has this technology attached to it. And I mean, right to begin with, before it is commonplace, I think it's one of those wow factors. I mean, you see some great premium videos that have been created for some nice listings, and they really grab your attention. They say, you know, like this video is amazing. I really want to look into this listing. If somebody could go to your listing and say, there's a 3D walkthrough, I can actually walk through this listing before I go and check it out, I think that would blow buyers away, and it would really grab their attention.
Yeah, what's interesting is when I was part of Inman a couple years ago, we did a really interesting study about high-income producing agents and sort of their path and what they did. And what was interesting is we found that agents who netted over $100,000 typically took more risks. They typically were ones to say, I'll try that out, but they'd also pivot really quickly. Like, try it out, see if this works. You know, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And you know, and be able to make that pivot. So I think there's a fine balance, you know, between jumping on every new thing, but also being open to change and being open to new things. Jason, how about you? What about what is on your list for 2014?
So you asked this question in advance, and I have been thinking about it. I have. And Sure. Yeah, like for 2 minutes. So let me ask a question. How many in the room would classify yourselves as visual learners? You learn best visually. Anybody? Most people are in fact visual learners, and so with what I'm setting my sights on in terms of technology, I would want to incorporate into my business as an agent that I think would really promote my services and my value proposition. I'm going to be looking at that visual experience, really propagating the visual experience. And so if I could share, I have 2 quick tools I want to share that I think both equally epitomize that visual experience, because I think that's where I'm setting my sights at. The first one is Infogram. Who's heard of Infogram? Anybody? It's kind of a little bit not the norm. The website address is different, so write this down. It's infogr.am. So instead of a .com, it's a .am. They're being snazzy like that. So Infogram. Infogram is an infographic service. Many of us have seen infographics, the fun little displays of graphics that somehow or another convey information to us. So if I were trying to work in a given neighborhood, I might want to put a report together that was an infographic type of report, very well designed, even had the potential of being interactive where if viewed on a website, someone could click on it and see different reactions take place to my charts and my graphs and whatnot. I might put a chart together about home sales in a market that I tend to work with, And then to my sphere of influence, I might share this infographic with them and say, check this out, I found this out about your market, it's interactive, play with it, see what you think and what it means to you. I'm available a phone call away. That might be one tool I would use, really making information beautiful and easier to digest and unpack. The other tool is Videolicious. I think many of us have heard of Videolicious. This has been around for a little while, it's newer to me, but I have been floored. I've been floored by Videolicious. It's a really, really excellent video service. For those who don't know about it, all you got to do is take your iPad and you start videotaping a house. You can put yourself on the screen and be talking. You can already have static shots or video images that showcase the listing that you're talking about. Pictures of the pool, pictures of the family room, the fireplace, the kitchen, the granite textures, whatever you want to make it, however ornate a video you want to make it. And simply as you're talking into your iPad, much like you would in a FaceTime chat, you click the picture and it shows the picture, the image of what you're describing. So this fireplace has a beautiful brick texture. It was built in the 1920s and it's fully functional. We had an inspection. Click to the next picture and you're looking at the pool. You can give someone the showcase. And the coolest thing about Videolicious that I think is that you have the ability to create front scene and back scene trailers that are branded to whoever you are. And if you're Coldwell Banker, I know that that's already been done for you. But I think that's a really cool feature of Videolicious.
Yeah, and I know Matt Singer well, the founder of Videolicious. Great product. If you haven't checked it out, download it. It's available on all devices, and there's so many video apps that are out there, but that's a very cool one. So I'm glad you brought that up. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Brian, how about you?
So my product definitely isn't sexy per se, unless you think, like me, that eliminating things like manual data entry and just general tedious tasks is a sexy thing. So how many of you have heard of a tool called Zapier?
Zapier?
Z-A-P-I-E-R.
Zapier.
And I'm really glad that I'm not seeing many hands because I'm really excited to share something. We know, Lisa. So anyway, we get requests all the time at Contactually. Oh, I would love it if you integrated with Constant Contact, Evernote, Google Calendar, what have you. And 2013 was a really, really strong year of technology, and there are a lot of really great new products out there. The problem is that it takes a lot of time and energy to build custom integrations on both ends to get these different tools talking to each other, which is where Zapier comes in. It's a tool that, as long as you have a Zapier integration, it can integrate with any other tool that also has a Zapier integration. So, you're not going to have to wait around for developers to build out these custom integrations. You'll create what are called zaps. So, if you're using something like Evernote and you have a note about a particular client that you'd like to show on their contact profile, you could link that zap so that the note automatically goes over and you're not going to have to manually transfer it by hand. If you have a task on hand for something in the contract close process, you can push that task over to a tool like Basecamp or Asana, whatever you're using to keep track of the various things that you have to do.
Nice. It's somewhat similar, for those of you who've ever used If This, Then That, it's similar in philosophy in terms of just helping you manage, this happens, and then because this happens, then X, Y, Z is going to happen. So
exactly.
That's a great that you mentioned that. So Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R, Zapier. Last but not least.
All right, so the one thing that you own as an agent is your data bank. We don't use the word database on our team. Everything is a data bank. It's your bank of business for the future. It's those people that you need to love and hug and caress and keep in touch with. So CRM's huge for us. It's been a big deal. We've tried everything, and we like just about everything. We love Top Producer. When it was just me and my dad, we used Market Leader, and we still have Market Leader. We have a Business Suite account, and we love it. We have been with Boomtown for about a year. That CRM is incredible. It's phenomenal. Our entire buyer team has been using it for over a year now. But now we've got to the point that we have 31 people and teams in different markets, and buying these systems in different places is not going to work for us anymore. We've been with Curator for about 3-4 months now. That's Curaytor, and we absolutely love everything about it. It integrates with Follow Up Boss, Happy Grasshopper. What else? Good Lord, a whole bunch of things. Anyway, we love it. It's working perfectly for us. We can have every single person in the whole system. So we have an account. So when we get a lead that comes in, and I don't like the word leads either, they're people. When we have someone that comes in that's looking at Pinehurst per se, we don't necessarily assign them directly to the agent. We have our inside salesperson, they call on them, they put them on a customized drip that the curator team has made themselves, and they're getting, could get dripped on by the Live Love Pinehurst, account, so to speak, until they respond to us, and then we assign them to an agent after we've spoken to them. Or if we get a lead in for Raleigh or Charlotte or whatever this case may be, we're able to keep in touch, and everybody's in one system now. Like, we've had 3 systems for about a year and a half, and it was getting overwhelming and crazy, and now we have everybody under the same roof, and I think we got a nice, big, happy family now.
Well, I think that's important as you look towards 2014, is how to make things a little bit more, I don't know if systematize is the right word, but just making you working smarter and keeping things in one kind of central bucket. So one thing I want to mention too, actually 2 things before we open up to Q&A. I know we don't have our panelists' names and contact info up here, which I apologize for, but if you've downloaded the Connect app and you go to this session, you'll see their names, their company, their Twitter handles, all that good stuff. You can Google any of them like I did, and you can find their contact information. But check out the Connect app if you haven't done it, and I encourage you to reach out to these guys because very, very knowledgeable. The other thing I want to mention before I open up to Q&A, just a reminder that Cocktails for Connect will be after this. It's sponsored by Coldwell Banker, so big thanks to Coldwell Banker for that. Gotta like the cocktails. So I'd love to open it up. We have about 10 minutes of Q&A, so if you have a question, raise your hand, and we'll go Richard Silver right here in the front. Why don't you stand up so we can all hear you? Oh, thank you, Mary.
Sorry. Last year it seemed that Evernote was the big shiny new tool.
Yes.
Thoughts on it? It only came up once very quickly with Brian. Are we over Evernote or what's up?
Great question. Who wants to take that? Yeah, go ahead.
So on my list of things that I was thinking about in terms of tried and true proven technologies, Evernote was one I was prepared to speak about. So for me personally, I still use it. In fact, my notes here today were taken on Evernote.
I have
notes at this
Evernote right
event
here.
were taken on Evernote. Katie's notes are on Evernote, so
Yes.
I certainly don't think it's done.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think if anything, Evernote has gotten a little maturity in a lot of ways. I think more and more people are just using it. So
It's a standard.
absolutely,
We're standing with
absolutely.
you.
Great. Who else has a question? I know we had some other questions. We're running back with the mic. Why don't we go right here? But feel free to stand up. We'll pass the mic back to you. You're good. So what?
Strategies to find new potential sellers in this market where inventory is at a premium. Thanks.
Great question. Who wants to take that?
Okay, well, I guess.
You need a mic.
Here.
Share. She stole your mic. Lean in. We're all family here, really.
We're sitting in the same chair over there. Okay, so we're doing a lot of different things with sellers. We've gone back to postcards. We've gone back, anything that we've bought this year, we have gone back to the neighborhood and gone to the neighbors and said, we closed on this house in less than 30 days. Who do you know that's needing to sell? We've done postcards to that effect. We've done a lot of internet marketing type lead gen. So we've gone back to we've gone to expireds. We calling daily on expireds. We're going old school and new school.
Gotcha. And when sorry, I'm going to ask you a question. When you say internet, when you do internet marketing, like, can you say one or two things about that?
Craigslist has changed. So like a big piece of our business, most of 2013 was Craigslist, and things have changed now. But the one thing we found, like with our Boomtown Craigslist leads, even though everybody was screaming, "Oh, our leads are down," well, they were of much better quality because they had to go through a different process. They actually had to copy the link, post it in their browser, and it was an additional step for the person who was actually looking at the property. That's more so for buyer leads, but that's a lot how we're getting sellers too.
Yeah.
Every time we get somebody that calls that's a buyer lead, about 30% of the time, those people need to sell too. And nobody's asking them because they're only calling because you think, oh, they're a buyer lead. Well, they're not.
Yeah.
A good portion of those people need to sell, so everyone is a seller lead.
Cool. Thank you.
And I'll add one quick thing to that. Just as far as video goes, NAR published a statistic. 3 out of 4 seller leads will choose a real estate agent that uses online video to market properties. So it's not necessarily about finding new leads, but if you already have a Substack, there are ways to make you stand out.
Yes, thanks for a good panel. Quick question, I was a little surprised to hear the use of Facebook groups for your own business processes along with Dropbox. Are you concerned about mining that data? We just came out of the data mining session. They're selling it, I mean, and it's obvious that they're tracking agents. Think about the tracking that you can do today. Gee, I talked with, so-and-so about a home. I went to their house, all that. I mean, have you thought about that, and what will you do about it?
I'm not concerned with the private, secret Facebook group. I don't think there's anything in there that they would need to sell. Like no, this is the private, secret group. Only members of my team are in this group. Yeah, well, hey, I've been to Facebook.
Zuckerberg.
Next time I'll just let Lori mow him down. But no, I'm not concerned with it.
Yep.
I would say a similar product to Facebook groups that would probably be more secure is a system called HipChat. It's a HIP chat, where you can actually create internal chat rooms. So if you have different departments for your company, you can create those different departments, keep them private, and then maybe somebody hasn't logged on in a while. When you message them through HipChat, it will actually send them a text message reminding them to come back and check out the conversation. So that's probably more secure than giving the information to Facebook.
And I don't know if it's, in terms of the security, I wouldn't comment because truthfully, I don't fully know what level of security is there. All I can know is what I read and what's offered. But to Katie's point earlier about Google Apps for Business, once you create a Google account and they give you access to the Drive is much like an Office suite comparable to Microsoft Office. You have the ability to collaborate there too if you're looking for kind of an internal team structure, and you can create sites and groups and terms that you can become familiar with by quickly researching Google Apps for Business. And that's another place to form team type of cooperations and so on and so forth. But groups are awesome too on Facebook.
Well, there's another place that we could do it, and we just haven't tested this yet. Like Dotloop, there's an ability to have the chat inside of all of our different transactions. We would have to invite too many people in, and this is we can segment it. We know what the different groups are about. They're clearly labeled. There wouldn't be anything in there that I wouldn't publicly post, probably.
Right. Awesome. Let's take it right here in the front here. Sure. Thanks, Mary.
I was surprised, maybe I'm not surprised, I don't know if it means that I'm old and so it's been around long enough, or if it means it's not new enough. But in our circles, it seems you're not allowed to talk about Pinterest. What are your thoughts about that? Is anybody using it? And is it older?
No, I think that's a great question. I mean, not to interrupt any of you, but just to jump in really quick. Sure. So the question was about Pinterest. Is Pinterest old? Is it over it? Is it relevant? I think for some people Pinterest could be a shiny object, meaning it's fun. People who get on it, sometimes it's a big time suck. To be really honest, for people who really enjoy Pinterest. I will say when it comes to real estate, though, the number one term that's searched on Pinterest is the word home. So people are definitely talking about homes. They're dreaming about their homes. I have a lot of agents that I know who use Pinterest as a way to kind of put together some dream boards. A good friend of mine, Stacy Staub, out in Denver, is the one who kind of introduced me to that concept where when she works with her buyers, she creates private Pinterest boards, and they sort of put their dream home. They'll pin different things that they are looking for. And so I don't think it's for everyone, but I think if you're a very visual person, if your client is very visual, it's kind of thinking of what's the best way to work with them. So, and if you guys have anything else to add as well, I just had to say that.
Well, a lot of your clients are there, so you probably should have a presence there. Just like with everything else, just have a presence there. Don't get stuck. I'm one of those people, I cannot go into Pinterest on the computer.
We are pro.
Because I will be there for hours. So I only do Pinterest on my phone. I like the grocery store, at the kids' games or whatever, if they're not actually playing. But it's a real big time suck for me. I have that personality.
Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Got a couple over here.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Kanitis. I'm with Chestnut Park Real Estate in Toronto. My question isn't necessarily about a shiny object, but a practical device or platform, and that's DocuSign and other paperless forms of document storage, but also document usage for deals. And I'm just wondering, along the panel, their input. There was a big discussion about it last year, and I'm just wondering maybe where it's come in the last year.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Never gets old.
I got an opinion on this one. Okay, so again, we beta tested everything. We wrote 1,500 offers this year alone. We've already written, I think, 100 or so this year. And we used DocuSign for over 2 years. And we love the product. It's a great product. But we found that Dotloop for us was able to, the storage was better for us. It worked better for us. Keller Williams incorporated it into our entire, we don't have to use it, but we have to import at the end of a transaction, so there was no reason to not use it the entire process. And we really have found that it's incredible. The support team, the people that run it, we like Dotloop better than DocuSign, but it's a great product. Both of them are.
Yeah, I think, the whole, it's definitely a big conversation, I'm sure. I know personally DocuSign's a client, so full disclosure on that. But I think, like you said, you have to figure out what's best for you. And one of the things I love about Lisa is she tries everything. She doesn't just go, oh, well, somebody said that. She really tries it out. And you got to make the best decision for your business. So they're both here as well. And if you are considering, cloud storage and transaction management, it's definitely worth checking both of them out, meeting the people who work there and seeing what's a really good fit for you.
Let's get rid of fax machines.
Yes. Awesome. One last question.
Hi, my name is Beatrix. I'm with Doma Properties in Long Beach, California. I have a question for you. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
Lisa.
Lisa. So it sounds like you are a big advocate of Dotloop, which I've used in the past, but with some frustration. And I've switched to using Basecamp. And I'm wondering if you've ever compared the two or run
Full
into...
disclosure, no.
Okay.
But I can tell you that I know there's been some updates. I don't know how long ago you used it.
I can just touch on that too, just from my experience using Basecamp. Basecamp is a great product. Any of you use Basecamp for project management? I find that it's great for project management. Not necessarily built for transaction management. It could certainly be used for that. Whereas I think a product that's specifically geared toward real estate, just my own opinion. So. Mm-hmm. Right, in Basecamp? Oh, I'm not familiar with that, but maybe afterwards ask Lisa, because I know she knows it like the back of her hand. So, awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it so much for your time. Give the panelists a round of applause. Thank you, all of you.